may fight, but will always be loyal subjects under the crown, right?
Greetings and salutations. My name is Coach Thornberry. I'm a high school history teacher from the U.S. state of Georgia. We're continuing our series on the American Revolution. In the last video, we looked at the prelude to the Revolution and the actions taken by the British government in between the French and the Indian War and the Revolutionary War that led the colonists to rebel. In this video, we will look at the beginning of the violence in the American Revolution, and we'll also take a deep dive on the Declaration of Independence, which is the document that was written that declared the United States as a sovereign and independent country. We're starting off with Standard 4. Analyze the ideological, military, social, and diplomatic aspects of the American Revolution. We're looking at Substandard A. Investigate the intellectual sources, organization, and argument of the Declaration of Independence, including the role of Thomas Jefferson and the Committee of Five. Our essential vocab is Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson, and the Committee of Five. So some quick review. After the French and Indian War, the colonists in Britain had tension due to the proclamation of 1763, new taxes like the Tea Act and the Stamp Act, as well as the Intolerable Acts. Tension had escalated in Boston between the colonists and the British who occupied the city through 1776. Frenzied support for Thomas Paine's Common Sense pamphlet also helped embolden the American colonists. While Britain occupied Boston, the colonists began to store weapons and create militias. Whenever the British Army left Boston and to look for these militias, the Battle of Lexington and Concord commenced on the outskirts of Boston. These were the first military engagements in the Revolutionary War. They were both American victories. Later, the colonists began to siege Boston. At the Battle of Bunker Hill, the British technically won, but at a very high cost. In fact, it raised American morale. In case you didn't notice, this is the part in the videos where I start using the word Americans instead of colonists. Get used to it. The first year of the war is known for American victory, and the British having to leave Boston. The war was far from over though. In the next few videos we'll talk about how the British returned, invaded New York and New Jersey, and at one point looked like they were going to easily defeat the colonists. But the rest of this video will be dedicated to the Declaration of Independence. By June 1776, the Continental Congress created the Committee of Five to write a rationale for independence. The Committee of Five included Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Robert Livingston, and Roger Sherman. Jefferson wrote the first draft. The Committee of Five made a few edits, and the document was sent to the full Continental Congress on June 28th. Some southern colonies did not like the criticism of slavery in the first draft. 88 changes were made by the Continental Congress to the first draft before it was adopted. All the references to slavery were struck from the document. In case you haven't picked it up yet, we're talking about the Declaration of Independence. The origins of some of the ideas contained in the Declaration of Independence come from the Enlightenment. The British philosopher John Locke significantly influenced Thomas Jefferson's writings. Locke believed that all individuals possessed natural rights, regardless of status. As part of these natural rights, people have the right to choose their own form of government and consequently give it power. The social contract theory, subscribed to by John Locke and other political thinkers, forms the basis of this argument. The social contract theory is the philosophy justifying American independence. In this theory, the relationship between the people and their government relies on each side's rights and responsibilities. The people give the government its power, and in return, the government gives the people defense and protects their natural rights. The people have a responsibility in the agreement to follow the laws created by the government. If the people don't follow the laws, the government will restrict their individual rights. If the government abuses its power given to it by the people in turn have a right to replace or overthrow the government. Just keep in mind, whenever we say the people in a broad sense, that is society as a whole. Locke's idea of natural rights is the foundation of the social contract theory. The idea is all people possess natural rights that are unconditional, such as a person's life, liberty, and property. A discussion of these rights and their protections is prominently featured in the Declaration of Independence's preamble. The colonists believed that King George III's government had violated the social contract and abused its power with unfair taxes, attacks by British forces against colonial citizens, restrictions on place of colonial assemblies, and the colonists believed they were exercising their rights to replace or overthrow a tyrannical government by declaring independence. And just so we understand the gravity of what's happening here, the 13 colonies were declaring themselves an independent country, a country all their own, separate from Britain, called the United States of America. The Declaration of Independence is organized into 3 sections. The first section The preamble calls the attention of the world to the plight of the American colonies. In this section, Jefferson lays out the main ideological reasons why the American colonies had chosen to and had the right to break away from the British government. Key ideas included in the preamble are natural rights, the origins and purposes of government as explained above in the social contract theory, and the reasons why colonists had elected to rebel against King and the Parliament. The second section of the Declaration of Independence is a list of grievances or justifications. This section contained 27 separate points of differences the American colonists had with King George III and his government. The grievances provide evidence of the social contract violations the government made in the role with the people. The final section of the document discusses the colonists' previous unsuccessful attempts to petition the British government for relief. An example of this previous attempts for peace, referenced in the section of the Declaration of Independence, is the Olive Branch Petition. This was a plea directly to King George III by colonists in the Second Continental Congress in 1775 for a negotiation to avoid armed conflict, which the king ignored. This section ends with the colonists' assertion that Americans can only have their rights restored by declaring independence from Great Britain. The final signed document was printed for wide distribution throughout the 13 colonies, which were now independent states, and quickly spread to every corner of the British Empire.
Well, you sent us your cute little paper. Just wanted to let you know the army's on the way. The Empire will strike back.
Well, he's right. As awesome as it is to talk about the Declaration of Independence and the early success the colonists had in the American Revolution, Britain will strike back. And in fact, the remainder of 1776 and most of 1777 will be rough for the colonial army, to say the least. In the next video, we will look at the foreign support that the colonists had to have in order to win the revolution. So we'll look at Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Marquis de Lafayette, and Baron von Steuben. After that, we'll cover the conclusion of the war and the Treaty of Paris, 1783. Until next time, keep it real and take it easy.